Welcome to this art interview with David Kupferman, the wonderful lyric abstract painter.
Thank you. Greetings.
What are you going to show us today?
A large body of my work are acrylics on paper, so I thought I'd start with those and then move on to the canvases. A few of them are landscapes, but mostly they're abstracts.
Talk about your art, David. What do you want people to see in your work?
Basically, my art is a celebration of the mystery and the dynamics of life in all its dimensions. It's about the experience of wholeness or oneness of being. The work should resonate internally, giving you a feeling of joy, harmony, and unity, a feeling of ascension and freedom. Through my particular visual language, I'm expressing the flow of infinite consciousness that underlies everything as vibrating pure energy. But these are not specific literal concepts that I'm trying to portray. The best work is unanticipated. The true meaning of my art is beyond words. It's the experience of it. On a physical level, my art is about the joy and love of painting and the relationships of color and form and going with the flow and the movement of the paint. It's the excitement of seeing what emerges from the blank canvas while being completely immersed in my painting.
How do you experience the flow of infinite consciousness and bring that level into your art?
A major influence in my life has been the practice of transcendental meditation that I've done daily since I was 21. Meditation helps refine my perception to appreciate the subtler levels of unbounded awareness.
Would you say your art is both conceptual and experiential?
Yes, it works on many levels simultaneously, dealing with silence and activity, unity and diversity, inner being and outer perceptions. I'm concerned with space, form, light, movement, and especially color in their relationships or conversations with each other. The compositions often blur the boundaries between landscapes and abstracts.
What inspired you to become an artist?
I grew up in a family of artists. My father, David Kupferman, was a well-known abstract expressionist as well as a professor of painting at the Massachusetts College of Art. And my mother, Ruth Cobb, did sublime watercolors full of light. My father was my chief inspiration, but they were both very inspiring and supportive, as was my older sister, who was a very talented artist. Growing up in Boston, I was greatly inspired by frequent visits to the Boston Museum, which has a world-class Asian department. I saw fabulous Japanese and Chinese screens and scrolls, and Tibetan, Indian, and Persian art, as well as great Western art of all periods. My art is informed by both Eastern and Western aesthetics and philosophy, and integrates the two. As a child, my family used to summer in Provincetown on Cape Cod, where there were lots of abstract expressionists in the late 40s and 50s who passed through town. Some of those artists included Rothko, Pollock, Gottlieb, Hoffman, Baziotes, and Motherwell. Many visited my father's studio as he was quite an innovator. Cape Cod played a big role in my art. Later, for many years, I had a big barn studio in North Falmouth. The Cape was surrounded by endless moving seas and skies with all its shifting moods and light and endless horizons. In 1969, I worked at the Museum of Modern Art in New York and was exposed to their marvelous collection of modern art. In '74, I befriended the great colorist New York artist Paul Vasquez. And in 1983, I had a studio in East Hampton, Long Island, where I had an opportunity to visit Willem de Kooning in his studio. I showed him a portfolio of my work, which he enjoyed. We both used a lot of gestural imagery. They were scraped with an edge or squeegee, causing subtraction, flattening the surface, and leaving subtle underlying ghost images that I'd learned from doing silkscreen monotypes.
What else inspires your work?
I'm also inspired by the powerful open skies and dramatic sunsets of Iowa, where I now work, and the majestic vistas on my trips to the Himalayas, the Alps, and Santa Fe, where I painted one summer. And I'm turned on by all the lines and shapes of the sidewalks I see just walking down the street, and the big architectural forms and surfaces of the old factory walls in and around my studio.
What role does music play in your art?
When I paint, I usually listen to Vedic hymns, classical Indian music, or improvised modern jazz. In a sense, my art becomes a spontaneous performance where I improvise along with the musicians as a visual player in the group. Painting becomes a physical dance that utilizes my whole body and mind, like a jazz saxophonist moving in response to the music. Music keeps the flow moving.
What is the significance of the geometric forms in your paintings?
There are often geometric rectangular shapes that act as portals, doors, thresholds, windows that facilitate movement in and out of the picture plane, creating a spatial balance between lines and colors. These doorways become symbols and metaphors for the act of transcendence. They also relate to some of the architectural elements that you see in Persian and Indian miniatures with their fabulous color juxtapositions that I use in my work. For me, painting is a sacred ritual that acts as a bridge between inner infinite being and the outer visual manifestation of the art. Each painting is a revelation and takes on a unique life of its own, creating its own universe, vibrating individualized universality.
What determines the colors and styles that you paint with?
Sometimes I have a general composition or color scheme in mind, but it just depends on what happens when I begin to paint, where the spirit moves me. I just take it as it comes, with one stroke leading to the next. I often add linear geometric shapes after the paint dries. At times, I will do a whole series in a related color scheme and style, variations on a theme, some in more subdued colors and others richer and brighter. Some of the paintings have landscape references and others are purely abstract. The paintings are both atmospheric and concrete, flowing back and forth between movement and stability, creating a visual rhythm or pulse.
How do you know when a painting's done?
I keep working on it until it all works as one integrated whole. It can be as simple as changing one small shape or color. In some cases, I've changed the same shape or color several times until it feels just right. Occasionally, I will scumble and scrape over and rework whole sections. All the parts have to work in harmony to make the soul psalms really sing.
Beside the Soul Psalms, what are some of the other names of your series?
Some of the other titles have been the Indian Raga series, Transcendental Visions, Light Waves, Sea Light series, A Love Supreme, Sea Psalms, Inner Light, and Meditations. I can't really say where one series starts and another ends, as they are all interconnected. I don't usually title them until I have a show and then come up with a theme name that refers to transformation into oneness, which is what my life and art are all about. The viewer also becomes an important player in this aesthetic performance by bringing their own instrument of consciousness into the act of seeing. Their awareness and attention activates the painting and brings a new life to it. It's the viewer's comprehension and receptivity that creates their experience of inner transformation and joy.